It's time to accelerate. Hey friends, this is Andy. Welcome to episode 643 of Accelerate, the sales podcast of record. Hey, I'm honored to be joined on the show today by my guest. Joining me is Sangram Vajre. Sangram is CMO and co-founder of Terminus. And in this episode, the topic is trust. We're going to have a conversation about trust on several levels. And first of all, the obvious challenges of building trust with your buyers in a noisy, competitive market, which is certainly a situation that most of us face these days, as well as the challenge of building trust internally within your organization, especially between sales and marketing. And Sangram is going to share what Terminus is doing to build that trust, or what they've done, and talk about how they align the interests of their sales and marketing teams around some common goals, not only to share accountability to each other, but also to the company to achieve these goals. So you want to stick around, make sure you check that out. If you'd like to see the show notes for this episode, go to andypaul.com/643. Now, before I jump into my conversation with Sangram, let me say that I often hear from listeners who are looking for a new sales challenge, and I tell them that one of the most important elements to career success is aligning yourself with the right company. One that develops its employees, values their customers, and has a portfolio of category-leading products that can compete with anyone in the market. And with its recent acquisition of Level 3, the new CenturyLink really has become a world leader in providing cloud, real-time communications, managed services. And if you're a top sales producer and you're looking to challenge yourself in order to take your career to that next level, then visit CenturyLink.com/accelerate. That's CenturyLink.com/accelerate. And see if CenturyLink could be the right step for you and your career. All right, let's get into it. Sangram, welcome to Accelerate.
Excited to be here with you, Andy. It's been a while.
It's exciting to have you here. So I have a standard opening question I ask all my guests. Gosh, I can't even speak today. Is, in your opinion, what's the single biggest challenge facing sales reps today?
I think, to put it bluntly, a lot of people don't trust salespeople. So trust, I believe, is one of the number one reason or number one challenge most salespeople are facing right now.
What do we do about it?
Yeah, I think it built over relationship, right, over time. And trust is something that, at the end of the day, every business thrives on it. We all have pipeline quotas, revenue goals, and metrics, and everything to kind of look at and figure things out. But, you and I are people sell to people buy from people. And there's something about that whole notion till the bots take over completely, as some people would probably proclaim out there. I think we're still in the business of selling to people. So trust is by far the most important thing in the business, and it's hard to measure. Right. And that's the challenge. So when we say, well, what are we going to do about it? I think we just build more trust. And that's kind of easy to say, hard to do. and really actions really matter more than it. But I think one of the ways that I've seen people do and salespeople do really, really well from a trust building perspective is that they know more about you, right? They know enough it's not immediate, like here's my pitch, here's my product, here's what I want to sell. I mean, that doesn't build trust. So I think it's important to know what doesn't build trust, and then that may be a long list of things, and maybe there's something that do build trust. But if somebody's just pitching, that doesn't build trust. We all know that. If somebody's talking about their product or services, we know that doesn't build trust. Like, we all get these emails every day. As a marketer myself, I get an email, almost like 3-4 emails every day, if not more, that says, hey, here's what we do, here's what we sell, here are the customers that we have seen success with. Do you want to buy from us? That doesn't build trust. And I don't know why people still do that. Now, the thing that has worked with me when building trust is that somebody reaching out and said, hey, Sangram, I've seen you write about this concept in so-and-so article, and I see that this is one of the big challenges that I think marketers are facing in the marketplace today. So I'd love to just take 15, 20 minutes of your time to see if our product and services, and then they talk about what they do, might help you address some of the challenges you mentioned in this post or in this podcast or out there in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. I think that is a beginning of building trust.
Yeah, I mean, I've read quite a bit about trust, and for people listening and for Sangram too, if you haven't already read Stephen M. R. Covey's book, The Speed of Trust, I'd really recommend it.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful book.
Right.
Beautiful book.
And he sort of talks about 4 cornerstones of building trust, and your customer being able to be transparent about your motives when you deal with somebody, is really important. That you have integrity, really important. And integrity meaning not honesty per se, but that your actions align with your words. And so you have this congruence. So, people don't raise an eye or are suddenly suspicious if you say something and do something that's contrary to it, but that you're in alignment, that you have competence to execute, or competence, at a basic level, and that you can execute on what you talk about. And really the cornerstones of trust. And I think for salespeople, for them to think about how do I start that, it's, as you talked about, it's to be other-oriented, be self-oriented. I know we talk about it all the time, but think about it in the context of motives and motivations. As somebody's looking at you and saying, okay, well, what's Sangram's motivation when he's talking to me here? They should be unambiguously clear about it, which is you're there to help them.
Yeah, and it's so hard. I think I almost think about, and this is somewhere I'm going to start dating myself, but the time where somebody could actually come to your office with a suitcase and actually sell you something, right? I mean, unless you are, of course, there are enterprise sales and all that wine and dine and all those things still happen, but nobody shows up to your office with a briefcase and a catalog of things to sell. So when you're looking at someone in the eye and trying to sell or trying to share and trying to figure out a problem and all that stuff, I think it's a completely different ballgame. Now, the sales team, unfortunately, have to be behind a phone and behind social media and I think they're not out there, right? So there's no eye-to-eye contact. There's no physical chemistry to kind of help people build trust. A lot of times trust is built literally without even talking. You look at someone and you feel like, oh, I can trust this guy or gal for some reason. So there's this natural ways of kind of having trust, but because we have so much technology and more and more of the conversations are either happening over emails or a phone call or just over social media, you're not seeing the other person, and that can be a big reason why you're not building trust. So I've seen some of at Terminus, but also at other companies where they would just start sending videos now, because videos is the next best thing to being in person. So and I think that is all. It's not just a new channel. People think about, oh, now instead of emails or in addition to email, I'll also do video. Well, it's not that. It's really, if you go to the bare bone brass tacks, why are people doing videos, or why people get engaged on video better than email? I think that's because you can now look in the other person's eye and you can kind of feel a sense of okay, that's a human. I can trust that person and I can and potentially buy from this person. So that likability factor really starts when you have that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, to a degree, let's say, as I believe the channel that you use can help, right? If you're going to start using video to communicate, I mean, that certainly gives you a sense of that sort of face-to-face. But I think that people overestimate the differences over the last 10, 15, 20 years. You talked about people don't showing up with briefcase anymore. Well, I can tell you, when I started my sales career, which was 40 years ago, I did most of my prospecting on the phone. I mean, I had a period of my career when I first got started. We had to go out and make 30, 40 cold calls a day in person.
Wow.
Okay. So I did that for a long time. But then after that, I mean, I give people examples. I spent 15 years selling, large complex communication systems worth millions of dollars. I did all my prospecting over the phone.
Right. So, and it has working, and you've been able to build trust through phone.
You build trust with the phone. So to me, I think, and we talked about, the being transparent with your motives and your agenda. That can get communicated through the phone almost as well as it can in person, right? If you're truly sincere that what you're there to do is to help somebody. And I relate the story when it's early in my career. I went out on a sales calls. It was my first job. I'd been there for, less than a year at this point. Went out on some sales calls with the most senior guy in the office because he was just crushing it. I thought, okay, I want to learn what he's doing. And so we walk up to we go out and drive to this office park. We're in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we get out and just go knock on doors in this office park. And we get to the first door, and there's a big sign on the front of it that says, "No salespeople." or no salesman at the time. There was no salesman.
Oh, man.
And yeah, I'm new and so on. And he just opens the door and walks right in. And the receptionist says, did you read the sign on the door? He goes, I did. He says, well, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to help you. And he says, I help businesses grow their sales profitably.
Yeah.
And she just stopped. Wow. And she just stopped. Yeah, because she was used to kicking everybody like him out. But it wasn't just a line. He believed it. See, this is the thing I took from this was that I learned is that with this guy, his name is Gary. Gary had grown up, his parents I think had owned a furniture store. And so he'd grown up in retail, helping people buy furniture for their homes and so on. And every soul of his being, he believed that he was there to help them, not to sell them something. And so for me, it's like this incredible lesson early in my career. It's like, oh, that's what this is about.
Yeah, it's so powerful, right? If you believe in something and your eyes or your conversation over phone or email or whatnot, I think you're just going to be more confident because you believe in something. And your confidence in itself can change the conversation. Okay, well, this person really believes that this is going to work for us. So if he believes, even though I don't know if it's going to really work, but because his belief is so strong, maybe I'll give it a shot. And that's where I think a lot of the conversations begin.
Exactly. So what's the root of passion? The root of passion is confidence, right? You can be passionate about this idea of helping someone and the product and service you're selling, right? Because you've got confidence. You've got confidence in your knowledge. You've got confidence in your knowledge of the customer and the product and the value it provides and so on. That's where that passion comes from. And that's freeing. And I think part of the passion comes... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just kind of thinking about like this confidence and belief system. I think at the core of the trust, the whole conversation around trust is really feels like the confidence and belief system is really at the root of it. And if you have that, I think that's where you can build trust. So I love that building blocks. I'm glad you shared that.
Well, I think that where it boils down to, this is where I think we don't spend enough time talking to salespeople, is that it's what the lesson I learned when I went out on the call with Gary and that I described is I understood that you had to stand for something, right? That you had to have some belief. And in that case, the belief was, one of my values is, in Gary's case, I'm here to help you. And not in an inauthentic way, but at the core of his being, I'm here to help. This is my job. I firmly believe this. And we don't talk to people in sales enough about what do you believe in? What do you stand for? And if you're really solid in your beliefs and your value system, then again, that something helps communicate confidence, translates to passion. I'm here to help you, whether it's on the phone or in person. People begin to sense that. And it's the thing that, to me, that all builds up into your character, right? So they sense your character. And that, speaks to your motives and your integrity. Your character speaks to all those things. So the 4 cornerstones we talked about. It's very powerful. And so,
I think one of the areas where I started to feel like, why do salespeople, if you want to go that route, we're like, well, why do salespeople just don't inherently have the confidence and belief system? And I think what I've seen is a lot of times they don't believe in their own product. And if they don't believe in the product, they may be great salespeople, but if they don't believe in the product and what they're selling, and if the results are actually going to do what they're going to do, it's really hard to continue to be on that trajectory and really have to put a lot of work and effort. And I know that every time, but thankfully I've worked in companies and started a company that actually the sales team will look at the demo. They're seeing the customers, who literally get customers come and speak every single month in the company to build their confidence. It's not to build that, hey, we're doing something. It's to build the salespeople confidence, because they get so fired up every single month seeing a customer speak, or internally or externally on a webinar or inside the office, that they are like, oh my goodness, this is great. We're changing lives. We're helping marketers do something better and bigger, and we're actually creating jobs and things like that. And then that conversation, that mindset, and the call they have the next moment after that conversation, is always so amazing to listen to, because they are just full of passion and love for the product.
Yeah, and I would take it one layer deeper even still, which is because I agree with you that confidence coming from understanding that customers are getting value from the products that you're selling and they're loving them is they need to understand, like I said, their own values first.
Yeah.
And even to the point where they sit down and write them, because what they're afraid of, the lack of confidence comes from, they're afraid people are going to challenge them on those values. Right? Is if you tell your peers, I'm here to help the customer. And you communicate that you're really embodying it. It's an authentic value that you have. People get nervous. People are going to question them on things.
Yeah.
And so the way that you become more confident in them is write them down.
Absolutely.
What do I stand for? In this job, in this role right here, what do I stand for? Do I stand for helping the customer? Do I stand, for, integrity and write it down and then share it with somebody. I mean, that's the thing is, we got to be a little bit of vulnerability is really good. Share it with somebody. Maybe this is part of what sales leaders need to do is, in a meeting is let's talk about our values. And, there are books been written about this in sales is, this is a crucial step in building a sales team as we have shared values.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that we have done at Terminus is every single person who gets hired, and this is something newer tradition, we actually have the team or the person go through Strength Finder. And that has helped the team recognize, oh, this person is good at this, right? Like, because some of this is like, it's hard to start even a conversation on it, right? Like, oh, so what are your values, right? It's hard, and everybody has this mask of things like, well, I don't want to say I'm this or that. So it's hard, especially if you're new in the organization and things like that. So people, unfortunately might fake it until they make it. So the Strength Finder is one of the examples or one of the ways that I've seen people are able to, okay, so you're good at this. This is great. So that in and itself builds confidence. Okay, yeah, I'm good at this. It clearly shows I'm good at this. And now it opens up a deeper conversation to your point, Andy. It's like, okay, so well, why are you good at this? Like, why is it that makes you good at X, Y, and Z, whatever that is that the Strength Finder kind of pops out. And that really makes people have a much deeper, stronger conversation as a team to know and work together well as a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
hundreds probably, right? These kind of tests.
Yeah, but there's a favorite quote of mine, and I've said it before on the show, but it's from I don't know if you're a football fan at all, but from my favorite football coach of all time, a guy named Vince Lombardi, who coached the Green Bay Packers back when I was growing up, first Super Bowl champions ever, and it's got this. He was incredible deep thinker about developing people and their capabilities and as human beings, not just as players. And he has this quote that's almost like a poem. It's called "Winning is a Habit," but it has this interesting progression. I'll just give it to you. He said, "Watch your thoughts; they become your beliefs. Watch your beliefs; they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character."
Wow.
And you just see how that so just logically builds, right? We may have thoughts, but are we conscious about how we're using those thoughts and translating those into our belief system, our values? And we're taking our beliefs and putting them down in words and saying, hey, this is what I stand for. And then, we have this inherent natural desire as humans to really be congruent with our thoughts and be consistent with our thoughts and our actions. So, once we've written them down in words, are we taking actions that are congruent with those? And if we are consistently practicing those, they become our habits. And that defines who we are as a person.
Man, I love that. I have this written down on mine. I was just going through my diary. Well, where is it? We have written down the bottom of one of those pages, and I don't know where I heard this. It's just the three words: thoughts become things, and that's it. And and somebody said that, and you gave me a much deeper kind of full process. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to kind of write it down later on, listening to this again.
Yeah, well, I can send you the quote. That's fine.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. It's like what your thoughts are, they will become your things at some point, and you like it or not. So you need to control your thoughts or understand your thoughts at a minimum, so you can understand where you're going. But I love that whole process that you just went through, because habits is what really makes and builds the later on the character in the process, because you're going to just reflect on each of those things as almost a journey.
Yeah, and so when you think about your character being the culmination a little bit of that journey, is so when you first interact, getting back to our conversation, whether on the phone or whatever methodology you use, when you first interact with that potential buyer, they're going to sense that character.
Yeah.
It's going to come through.
Yep. You can't hide.
You can't hide from it, or you can't hide from it for long, right?
Too long, yeah.
And the thing about perceptions is that these first perceptions are so strong and so sticky. And the research has gone through this a number of times. Is we're not even aware of the fact that we're forming these perceptions of other people. They're happening, what the psychologists call precognitive perceptions. But what the research found is that we're loath to change our perceptions of somebody once we formed them, even if we're given evidence to the contrary.
Yep. I love that.
So this first interaction, really key. And so having your values in line, understanding what you stand for, how that translates into your selling, that gets communicated right away. So, yeah, good stuff to talk about. Well, let's shift the focus a little bit, because we were going to talk about sales marketing alignment. And I'd like to get into that in the time we have remaining, is because this is what a passion of Terminus is, obviously.
Yep.
Business is built on that. So on one of your podcasts, which I'll give you a chance to talk about your podcast in a bit, is you talk about this initiative you had at Terminus to really solidify your sales marketing alignment, what you call a one-team initiative. So what can you share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So #1team, right? I think it just became a thing. We were our executive team. We were just at an offsite trying to recognize what the industry has kind of changed and how Terminus is changing. And as we've brought in a lot of people, we're like, okay, let's look at our vision again and see where it's going. And we started to kind of poke around the vision. The vision is to unify the world's go-to-market teams, like every single go-to-market team in any business out there in the world. So like, how do we unify these go-to-market teams? And we peel the onion a little bit, like, well, who are these go-to-market teams? Typically, it's marketing and sales, and typically it has been sales. And now lately with the sales and marketing alignment, marketing and sales. And if you really think about it, it's really marketing, sales, and customer success at a minimum. And then the rest of the teams are supporting those go-to-market teams. So it just came about as #1team. And that just became one of our core values now in the company. So people would just talk about it. So what it really means from a marketing and sales alignment, to specifically answer your question, it means that sales and marketing have one number. And that has completely fundamentally changed the way we operate as a business. So the marketers or the marketing team do not have a lead goal, do not have number of leads or opportunities or anything like that. They have the same exact number as the sales team. So which means that the company has the same exact number. So that what that allows is that every week when sales and marketing meet, and obviously meet more often than that, but every week when we meet, we have a one-team meeting where we are looking at of the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 accounts that we want to penetrate. What percentage of those accounts we are penetrating as a team, and marketing needs to support that, sales needs to come back to that. So we both are always looking at what percentage of the accounts that we want to go after are we able to engage and penetrate. And that has fundamentally changed the way we look at sales and marketing.
So our sales and marketing, this is a question I have to ask.
Of course.
A little bit of a provocative question, but so is sales and marketing still separate organizations?
Well, I mean, they are in terms of the craft that you have to have for both the organizations, but they are, at the end of the day, everything is aligned when you're aligned with a number and a mission. So the mission is to be one team, and the number is how the success will be. So when the sales team closes a deal, they actually bring the marketer together and gong it, because they feel like there was a team play there, and they talk about how it was worked, and the marketing team is equally excited about it. But what's fundamentally changed here, right? And this debate has been there forever, and clearly with Terminus being an account-based marketing leader, we have been talking about this as one of the things that our platform helps do. But really, it has been a philosophical conversation, right? And people are like, yeah, of course there should be alignment and things like that. But the alignment cannot happen until there is one number. And one number can only happen when the sales and marketing team leaders both feel that they are accountable to each other. Otherwise, it's kind of bullshit, because most organizations would say, well, sales didn't close the numbers or deals, or marketing didn't provide anything. In this case, when you have one number and one team, what happens is marketing and sales are meeting daily, if not like every other hour or 2 hours, to figure out, okay, well, we're going to close these deals, the next 90 deals in the next 30 days. How can I provide air cover for these 90 deals that we have in the pipeline? What are we doing to get more engagement? Well, let me figure out if we can get an executive. Oh, let's see if I can get you set up with a call with another customer, or maybe we should do a dinner over there or something, because 5 of your opportunities are in that region. So all these conversations are not going to happen until both know that their bonuses and salaries depend on that number.
So are you still paying your sales reps commission?
Well, we definitely are. Most definitely are. The commissions per se hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. But the marketing bonuses and marketing, really the bonuses for the most part, are predicated on the fact that we meet those numbers.
So, but are they somewhat, talking about using the term alignment, is
Sure.
because I had this conversation just recently with another company that, we're considering getting rid of commissions because they really did have a team sell effort.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just lip service. Absolutely, they're working on large accounts as a team. And, it seemed a little unfair to disproportionately reward salespeople if it truly was a team effort.
Now, I think there's a debate on this, right? And I don't know if there is a clarity yet. And I think it's going to mature at some point. I think it really depends on the size of the deal. If every single deal, so majority of our customers are like mid-market and we're moving towards enterprise. So let's say we become an 100% only enterprise sales. I think maybe there is some conversation to be had on that, because then you only have like 100 companies to sell to. So so the volume is not there to have more commission-based business. Marketing and sales need to just be working together and can probably share commission. But when you're closing hundreds of deals every single month, then I think it's really hard to kind of say that, well, marketing and sales need to kind of look at the commission, because there's so much transaction, there's so much process that is going on, and both are working together. But I do believe that there's merit to the debate, and the jury is still out of how things could be done, and I'm very open to that idea at some point in the future.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the logical extension of what's happening with ABM and account-based selling and marketing is that, I mean, this is part of argument in the past as is sort of back to the future, because this is the way companies have organized themselves oftentimes for years is we're going to go out and get this big account or these big accounts, and we're going to put a team together that's going to work on one or more of these accounts, and we'll have people from all sorts of different organizations, but there's nobody that's sales or marketing, they're all just part of this team. And so we start seeing sales and marketing sort of disappear as they're currently constituted as sort of, siloed organizations. And it's just, now we're going to pick these 7 people. They're going to come from various disciplines to help us do these opportunities. And when these opportunities are closed, they're going to go redefine new project work and other opportunities.
Yeah, I think the key change that I believe has happened in the last few years, and I definitely have seen that a lot at Terminus and a lot of our customers, is that marketing is now responsible for the accounts you need to go after. And that is a new thing. That has been the history of sales and marketing relationship. Sales have always been responsible for sourcing the accounts and which accounts to go after. The SDR team is doing cold calls to any and every account, and they have their own process to go through it and all that stuff. And they are, at the end of the day, coming up with the account, where we're coming up with the accounts. What has changed at Terminus, and I think in most ABM thinking organization is that marketing is now fully responsible for coming up with a list of accounts that salespeople will go after. And what that changes is that, okay, well, let's say we have 9,000 accounts that we need to go after in the next few years. That's our entire universe, 9,000 accounts or the accounts. So now marketing is going to assign accounts to the sales team, and then sales team can figure out who gets those accounts and all that stuff. And then the engagement starts on focusing on, okay, what are the accounts? So everybody knows which accounts you're focusing on as a group, as a unit. And that is a fundamental change. I don't know if you're seeing that in many companies, but I've not seen as much. And lately I'm starting to see a lot more where marketing and owning the process of making sure we're going after the right accounts. And it's no longer sales coming up with a list of accounts, it's marketing.
Yeah, definitely seeing that more and more. The question that's still open is that, okay, but who actually owns the account? And this is still where you get a lot of territorialism going on between sales and marketing. Sales saying, well, hey, it's my commission at stake, so I need the ultimate say-so on strategy and tactics and so on in this account. And other places are on the other extreme are sort of doing, as I sort of described, more sort of team-oriented approaches. Yeah. And personally, I think the team-oriented approach, especially as you go into larger and larger deal sizes, makes a lot more sense. And then you're not really ever worried about alignment because
the team is working together. Yeah.
Well, but the team doesn't identify as marketing, sales, or engineering or customer success. They identify as members of the team.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the part I do think from an ownership perspective, I think the fact that marketing needs to take more ownership. I think that's where I think marketing is kind of laying back. And I think marketers, as a marketer myself, I feel like we have kept the behind the eight ball. We have not helped sales as an organization in most cases to really be successful. We're creating blogs and ebooks and content and all that stuff, but because we're not focused on the accounts or maybe do not feel the ownership of the account, I feel like that it's an easy way for marketers to kind of point fingers at sales. So I feel like the more marketing starts taking ownership of the account, the more better and strategic campaigns they can do, and almost making sure that, well, sales, you are the master of your craft of closing deals. That is your job. Marketing, your job is to come up with the right accounts, making sure that the messaging is right, and let the craft, everyone needs to play in their craft and do it. And I think that's something that takes a while and cannot be done overnight.
Yeah, one thing that always complicates it is the fact that commissions. Because
bread and butter.
Right, because that all becomes an ultimate motivation for some people. Not that they're motivated purely by commissions, but they know there's something at stake, which is their income. So that's why I say this idea of in certain deals, certain types of deals, is commission somewhat of an outdated concept. Yeah, and it's one that though people go to their graves saying that, hey, sales and commissions are inextricably linked. Yet there are plenty of examples out there of companies. Again, it's it's a distinct tiny minority, but of companies that are succeeding with team-based approach that people get bonused and they make good money, but they're not commission-based.
Absolutely. Cool.
All right, Sangram, unfortunately we've run out of time. We're going to have to do this again because we really didn't get to the things I'd lined up to talk about, but that's fine. We had a great conversation. Yeah, I love this. I think the idea of one team is very interesting, and there's so many more things to be talked and pondered over. I feel like there's a big change and shift happening in both marketing and sales mindset. And as a result of that, really, really good things are going to come out of this whole ABM and bigger space in the MarTech industry. Yeah, no, I agree. It's heading in the right direction, and it's going to evolve. That's all we can count on. It's going to evolve in ways we don't anticipate. So, all right. Well, Sangram, thank you as always. So, tell folks how to learn more about Terminus and to get in touch with you. Sure. You can go check out terminus.com or just hit me up on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm at Sangram Vajre, so you can just find me up there. All right. And we should have a bonus quiz for people who don't work at your company to tell us why you got the name. Well, so Terminus is the original name of the city of Atlanta. I knew that. I was testing the audience. Well, that would be an interesting one. If people didn't know that and find out, that might help people remember the name as well. Yeah, well, it's coming out on HQ Trivia here in the next couple of days, I'm sure. So all you people that are playing and obsessed with that game, as everybody in my household is. So Sangram, thanks for coming on the show. Friends, thank you for spending this time with me today. Make sure you come back next time for a next great episode of Accelerate. Until then, really appreciate you get a chance. If you listen on iTunes, subscribe, leave a review. Really appreciate any sort of feedback. So I'm your host, Andy Paul. Till next time, good selling, everybody.